this is another how-to on the North Carolina. This one is not on the test server. I actually bought this ship, and as you can see, I've got it bone stock basically. Don't have enough conversion XP or silver stars to buy the propulsion upgrade, the gunfire control system upgrade, and the hull upgrade. And you're definitely going to want a few of those. But I'm putting this video out because it's real easy when you get to North Carolina to suddenly get cocky, and you don't want to do that in this boat. She's a great ship, but you got to watch out. I'm going to throw on some camouflage, and let's put on some flags here. Let's see. Going to put on my secondaries flag to boost my secondaries. I'm going to put on my firefighting flag to help reduce the time to put out fires, and flooding recovery time in case I get torped, and of course India Delta for more hit points saved, and a little extra XP always helps. And this is an expensive ship to run, so definitely want to save some money by putting on the India Bravo. That should be enough. My captain is a 10-point captain, but he's undergoing training, so he's only at half. The ship has got 3 turrets, each turret with 3 guns, 406 millimeters. I think that's about 16 inches. That's a heck of a lot of shells. It's a big shell. With reload time of 31.5 seconds is pretty good. 180 degree turret rotation of 36.4 seconds, which is mediocre. The damage that this thing puts out, high explosive damage shells. If you get a good hit, it'll do 5,700 damage with a base chance of setting someone on fire 36% of the time per shell, which is pretty impressive. The AP, however, is where it's at. 13,100 damage on a good hit. One thing you are going to have to get used to, though, these shells fly slowly. The high explosive is at 701 meters per second. Most of the big guns are pushing 900, so these things fly pretty slow. The armor piercing is a little bit faster, 820 meters per second. She's got good secondaries, 10 turrets, each with 2 guns of 127 millimeters. Reload time 6.5 seconds. And the secondary guns will only fire high explosive, and they'll do 1,800 points of damage on a good hit. The AA is really good on this ship. You really don't have to buff up her AA unless you want to be dedicated to protecting other ships. She's got 10 turrets, each with 2 guns at 127 millimeters. Those are the secondaries. To use those for anti-aircraft, you'd have to press the control button, click on an enemy airplane, and they'll start shooting at the enemy airplane. But she's also got 40 millimeters, 10 turrets, each turret with 4 guns, and 46 20 millimeter guns, each turret with 1 gun, range 2. So basically, if it flies, it dies. You don't have to do much about AA. Speed, 24 knots, which isn't too bad. You're definitely going to want to buff that up with the bigger engine, because that's going to get outrun by the enemies. Okay, so we've got our first couple to choose from. I probably should go for that battleship. He's more brought on. These high tier battles with battleships, you really got to have your head on a pivot. You want to be looking around. You're not going to just engage just one ship. You're going to be looking around, finding the ship that is dumb enough to be broadside to you. You find one that's dumb enough to be broadside to you, you'll take a shot at them, and usually by then they've turned around. Smart players stay on that rudder. So I get a couple salvos off and just scored my first hit. 10,000 points and only 2 shells hit. You can see why it's so easy to get real overconfident with the North Carolina. You can do a lot of damage. Now those were overpens. So now if you've noticed on the mini-map, in front of me there was a battleship. I was right behind him. That battleship is now dead. So I am turning away. There's 2 battleships and 2 cruisers and they're all looking at me. So now would be a good time to turn around and get the heck out of here. Or at least get angled. You can see I'm on fire and I'm taking some damage. I got my first Citadel hit. I've only got 1 fire on board, so I'm not going to waste my repair. Oh, someone sent a torp my way. Haha. Okay, so lining up on this guy. He's broadside to me. He's turning in. Oh boy, I better hurry up. Put that fire out and repair my health. I was taking a lot of damage. Boom! Alright, 1 shell. Took him out. You can see why people like to drive the North Carolina. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so we've got a cruiser here that should be fairly easy to take out. I go ahead and unload on him. Boom, boom. Can I get him? 1 hit for almost 4,000. 4,300. He's still well angled at me. So I got another guy back here who's turning out. I can go ahead and get a shot off at him and should do a fairly good chance of damaging him. But I notice at G7 there's a ship moving in on me on the mini-map. I'm going to go ahead and take a pot shot at this guy though. Maybe I can get lucky. 2 hits, no damage. Wow. 4,300 damage. Okay, now this guy in front of me is really an easy target for me. He's turning broadside. I can bring everything to bear. Plus, while I'm turning on my rudder, I'm going to be very well angled against those 2 battleships behind me. Oh, this looks good. This looks really good. Boom! Alright, a Citadel. You can see why people love playing this ship. Oh yeah. Now I know I'm turning a little bit broadside to this battleship that I'm going to be shooting at in a moment. But he might not see me. He might not be pointed at me. Okay, he's not pointed at me. So I basically got free reign to open up on him. That is another North Carolina. On the enemy team, alright, 13,100 damage. Hit a Citadel. 13,100 damage. Now, he has decided that he wants to take a shot at me. You can see he's turning his guns on me. He just took out one of our friends. Oh boy, so that's, I gotta get on this rudder. I know he's got a few seconds before he can fire again. I got another Citadel, another 13,100. Alright, so I have really done some damage to this guy. That was a shot from behind, but I'm turning out. I'm going to angle because you don't want to be broadside. And this is where I learned not to be cocky. Bam. I was decently angled against this other ship, but he managed to citadel me from behind. Ouch. Ouch is right. Unbelievable. So even though you've got a really big, bad battleship, you don't want to be broadside to anybody. You want to stay angled. If you're going to take the risk of being broadside to an enemy, you better expect that they're going to be able to hurt you. They might even citadel you. And quite obviously, he scored a couple of citadel hits on me and took me out. So at the end of the battle, I sunk 2, scored 4 citadels, and landed 28 shells. We're going to win this game because one of our players was smart enough to go up there and take that cap. That was a smart player. Smarter than me. Anyway, you can see the score there. Did 102,553 damage, 1,284 experience, 65 of the free experience. Let's take a look at the numbers. And then we're going to go take a look at the armor layout of this ship. So there I am. Hey, I took first place. Not bad for getting killed. So against the Otago, only 9 hits, but 23,000 damage. Against the Indianapolis, 3 hits at 6,900 damage. North Carolina, I did a little damage against him. Shapayev, North Carolina. Let's take a look at credits and XP. Okay, so I received almost 100,000 silver, but I only took home 37,775. The rest I lost to service ammunition, or as I call it, the IRS. I want to go back and take a closer look at the damage I took. So 9 hits from that North Carolina did 37,066. So I obviously got citadeled a couple of times, even though I was fairly well angled against those hits. Wow. So what this tells me is I need to be a lot more careful about what I showed to the enemy. Let's take a look at the armor. Now you can see she's a good looking ship. Let's bring in the armor, then filter out some of the layers there. 305, 32, 16, 165. There's decent armor against torpedoes. Filter out all these layers. There's a citadel. You can see it's actually not that big. But other ships are gonna be able to hit it if they have enough power and come in a little high. That is not at the waterline, but just above the waterline. There's 32 millimeter and 37 of deck armor. Now I got nailed from behind. From behind, but now there's a little more armor up there. Superstructure's not much. You can see the armor I've got protecting the back of the citadel, but then behind that there's only like 32 millimeters of armor, which isn't much. And there's 32 up front. But up front, your angle has better angle against incoming shells. The back doesn't. Of course, the guns are armored to the hilt. So if you can angle with your nose toward the enemy, not the stern. And you should do better than I did. That's it. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and have fun.